just have a cup of coffee, then I'll go. Thought that I'd just drop by and let you know that I'm leaving town tomorrow. I'll cause you no more sorrow. I'll just have a cup of coffee, then I'll go. I brought the money like the lawyer said to do. It won't replace all the heartaches I've caused you. It won't take the place of loving you, I know. I'll just have a cup of coffee, then I'll go.
Good morning and welcome back to the channel Grand Colombia, and welcome to yet another Coffee Time Live. And let's see what's new, what's going on. First, I want to thank Yuka. Greatly appreciated every week. And of course, we've got Mr. Anonymous. Thank you so much. And what do we got in the chat here? We've got Rob. Good morning from Fort Lauderdale. How you doing? Juka, greetings from Finland. Hello. Mike Jarvis, how you doing? Mike's talking about you yesterday. Mike Carroll, hello from the latest balloon country, Canada. Yeah. Turtle, how you doing? How's the weather? And you may have noticed I have a guest in studio today. My hero, my savior, brought me back from the dead. Dr. Luz Angela Rodriguez.
Good morning. Thank you.
So we're going to wing it. She's got a little English. When she first came, she didn't tell me that. She left it to me. And after, I think, the third visit or fourth visit, she started throwing out some English words. So her English is probably as good as my Spanish. And so we're going to, I've got some pre-prepared general questions. If you can speak Spanish and you got a question, go ahead and type it in Spanish or Google Translate it and then paste it in there. It'll be helpful. But you can put it in English. That's all right also. My translation is really slow. I have to get, when people talk, I usually have to get them to slow down, talk very slow, because my brain is still trying to translate one word at a time. So we got that going on. She'll be here for about 15 or 20 minutes. And then I got some things to talk about. We're going to talk about this rumor, if you haven't heard it, about this volcano that's on the verge of erupting that is so huge it will destroy all of Quindío. So it was all over social media here in Colombia. So I'm going to did my homework, of course, this week, and I'm going to talk about that. So what do we have here? Oh, buenos dias. Buenos dias.
Good morning.
Hola.
Hello.
Okay, so let me go right to these questions. So, how long have you been a doctor?
I have been a doctor since 20 years. I study in the University of Quindío.
So if it's 20 years, you started in the university when you're 5 years old.
More.
That's broma. It's mala broma, pero it's broma. Okay, so you went right here, University Quindío.
Yes. And then I study a diploma at the University of Ibague in primary health care.
So that's like in the U.S. that's general practitioner. Primary health care is like general practitioner.
Yes, home care,
Mm-hmm.
and the other conditions of life, ambiental, manipulation of aliments, of foods, of food, and the conditions of house.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand here in Colombia, doctors aren't just focused on the symptoms that you have or the condition that you have and the medicine that'll treat it. Here in Colombia, they look, as she mentioned, it's actually part of what they do. They'll look at where you, like, think Dr. House, you know, where you go out and check out the house and see what's in the house. Could it be causing a problem? What kind of food?
Yes.
What's
Water, the conditions.
all of that. So it's more of a, I guess the word would be holistic approach to medicine. It's an interesting way that they do it. Many doctors here are educated in the United States. But then they also have this idea of medicine in Colombia, which is different than the United States.
Yes.
Okay, so now, today, what is your specialty?
Bueno, I specialize in orthomolecular nutrition that studies the effects of nutrients in the health and treatment of diseases. Contributes to increasing the well-being and quality of life of people, especially in diseases like diabetes, arterial hypertension, neurological, and renal, and psychosomatic diseases.
Okay, just so you know, so she's looking down. No, it's okay. No, it's okay. She prepared for this. So
My English is terrible.
mi español es horrible. So
And through the administration of megadoses of nutrients, specific orally or intravenously.
now, I know a lot of you will be like me. In that when you hear the word supplement, for example, the first thing that comes to mind is snake oil, because so many things are sold that are they're just kind of bogus. And I have to, this wasn't part of it, but
Okay.
but I have to talk about this. When she was here and she gave me the injections and we did medicine, it's not like, she was dancing around and chanting with a twig and waving it in the air. I mean, she did the medical thing, checked my blood pressure that was sky high and checked my sugar and all of that. But as she was wrapping up, she told me these are the things you should eat, which are mostly what I eat anyway. And she suggested I buy a supplement. And I'm going, except everything that she did was working really well. I mean, I was getting healthy fast. So I went ahead and got it. And I'll show you
Ganoderma.
Ghana Excel.
Yes.
So she said, buy this. And it was god awful expensive. And you take 2 a day. It comes with, I think, 90. I'm not selling this. I'm not telling you to go do it. But the reason I mention this is that I not only got healthy, but you guys know, you've seen it in the video, I've had more energy than I've had in years. I've had more energy than I've had in my healthy moments in the last half a dozen years. I don't know, my first thought was I was sick for such a long time. that frog in the water, you know, and heats up, and you don't realize that it was just the fact I was being healthy. In such a short period of time, it was the contrast. But it seemed like it was more than that. The only thing different in my life is this stuff. Now, do you have stock in this? Is this your company?
Yes.
It's your company.
No, no, it's in Malaysia, but the Malaysia company is Gano Excel. But there are las oficinas. The office are in United States, in California, and in Colombia are in Pereira, Bogota, Medellin.
It's got a mark on here. It's GMP. I don't know if that's maybe that's a company.
In United States, is more adquisitivo.
Ooh.
Is less the
the price.
The price.
Yeah. Well,
less the price.
The reason this has got awful expensive is
But
I live on the Colombian economy, and so when I buy something, it's in comparison. In the U.S., it would be the normal U.S. price. But for me, I don't remember what it was, but 300,000 pesos or something like that.
Yes.
It's like
The fourth part of the salary of the one person Colombian.
Well,
but this product that I take personally.
This.
Yes, for several years, because this product have 200 micronutrients and 154 antioxidants. They have organic germanium, selenium, zinc, D vitamin.
Vitamin D.
Can help for our hair.
Now, we can't say vitamin D helps COVID. Not permitted.
Yes. It's a nutraceutical product, really.
Well, I'll buy it again. Everything you told me worked well for me. So I'll continue with this. We'll see how it goes. Su inglés está muy bien. She can't be a doctor. Handwriting is legible.
Es que handwriting is legible. Que la letra es legible.
Maybe the energy is to help pre-diabetes. You may have. I don't have pre-diabetes. Well, everybody has pre-diabetes, but my sugar is normal. There's a big symptom. No. It's
Excelium
it's like
is Excelium of Gano Excel. In USA, can find in ganoexcel.us.
Okay. So anyway, I don't want to make
Amazon.
it Amazon.
UI in Amazon.
I bought it in Mercado Libre.
Mercado Libre.
Yeah. Because I'm in Colombia, but I don't want it to be what do you call it? One of those shopping shows. But I thought I'd let you guys know because what's the name of the supplement again?
Ganoderma is
it's GANO, and then second word EXCEL.
This is the component. Mailing.
Oh.
No. Excelium.
I found it with this.
EXCELLIUM. Excelium.
Okay. But you'll find it with that, because that's how I found it.
Yes.
Anyway. For you, it might not be so expensive. I think for me, it was about $70, something like that. I was in shock, and then I have to take 2 every day. Excelium, yeah, that's it.
Sin la T.
Don, how you doing, Don? What is the name of the supplement? Okay, we got that covered. We have more questions. Do you, what? Oh, do you, can't read my own writing. Do you make many house calls?
At the moment, I did not make many home visits due the time availability. But if someone call me, contact me, I can guide.
Okay. Now, that's important because when I contacted her at first, I didn't know her. I knew of her. She told me no. And,
Because
and then later, you know, I told her that I think I'm dying. And then she came right away. So I appreciated that. I didn't know what else to do at that point. But she wasn't doing them. But maybe I was such a good experience that, you know, she's now open to doing them. But you also have an office, right?
yes,
So she's a doctor, she's a general practitioner, but her focus now is more nutritional. But it's not just nutritional. It's a combination of both. Next question. Oh, kind of answered it. Would you object to taking care of gringo expats the way you took care of me?
yes, of course.
Yes, you would. Not object.
I like to help all people. In this moment, the number of foreigners in Armenia is increasing,
That's my fault.
which is creating a challenge for our profession.
Yeah?
Yes, but for the language and the customs, I always imagine that the foreign patient will be accompanied of by someone who speaks Spanish.
Oh, no.
But in many cases,
No, we're too independent. No, you can't help me.
you can marry.
Yeah. Well, that was when she was here, and I was, you know, I was on my last legs, but I couldn't help it. I joke around a lot, and I don't know if you remember, but I asked you if you would marry me like that. Now, in Colombia, I don't think the custom in Colombia, guys do that as patients, but
Yeah.
from the United States, we're not very formal and we joke like that. So that might have been a shock. So I have to marry a Colombian so that I've got a translator. Which hospital does she work for in Armenia? You're independent now, right?
Yes.
Independent.
Yes, I work in Clínica Uninorte at the office 518.
Clinical Norte, that's right here
Yes, it's in Fundadores.
on 3. Calle Today's.
No, one.
Oh, okay. All right.
Street 1,
Yeah.
1A,
Yeah.
12.
I did a video there in that building.
Yes.
Okay, before. All right. So it says clinic. They're like private hospitals. $23.90 on Amazon. I should have checked Amazon. I'm so used to going to Mercado Libre. I don't know. Stupid me. Next time I'll get it through Amazon. What is her contact info? What I'm going to do is I'm going to gather it up later, and for now, send me an email. I'll give it to you. But what I will do is I'll include it in next week's coffee time, and I'll put it on the Adventures in Grand Colombia Facebook page. so that you've got it. It's already on the list that I give out to people that, you know, they meet with me before they, you know, get their apartment and all that. I have a list, and her name and phone number is on that. It's actually been on there for a long time because I've known of her. I just never needed her. Okay. All right. What's next? How long have you lived in Armenia?
I live in Armenia 18 years.
In antes?
But I born in Salento, Quindío. But when I finished the university, I worked in Armenia only 1 year, and then I worked in Andalusia and Tuluá Valle. Then I come back to Armenia, hasta el momento.
It's the best place in Colombia, right?
Yes, yes.
Tell them there's a lot of Colombia I don't like. I love Armenia and this area. Montizales is a great city, but so much of Colombia. It's
See, in this moment I live in Circassia in rural.
the crime is going up in Circassia.
Yes.
Yeah, it's sad.
Sam?
Triste.
No.
Criminales, there's más criminales in Circassia.
Yes,
Yeah,
no.
it's going up.
I have three dogs.
Okay, do you belong to any EPS such as SURA, or are you independent?
In this moment, only independent, but I work in different entities.
Yeah, in the past.
Sí,
Yeah.
in the past.
Yeah. Do you have an office location? Well, you mentioned your office is in the clinic
Yes,
building.
in clinic.
Okay.
Yes.
518.
I do.
Okay. I will get that information consolidated and have it available.
The numbers is here.
Since I already mentioned that.
The best year.
Okay. So we've run about 20 minutes. Do you have anything you want to add? You have something you want to say?
What is the best ER hospital in Armenia for urgent care that is 24 per 7?
24/7.
20
So what emergency
is
hospital is the best?
San Juan de Dios.
Yeah.
San Juan de Dios
There's only
Hospital.
2 hospitals, and that's the one in the north.
No, in San Juan de Dios, Central Clinic.
No, I mean, okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, public. I meant public.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's 2.
It's only.
Because in the U.S. and here, there's a lot of difference. So I'm trying to speak the way that they picture it. But the clinics here are hospitals. They're just private hospitals. In the U.S., while there are some private hospitals, you don't see it the same way. Private hospitals in the U.S. are really, you almost have to be rich to use them. Here, private hospitals are just normal. It's just another hospital to go to. Like the one over here I did the video in, it has CAT scan machines. It's equipped extremely well. It's equipped as well as any hospital. And so you have these all over Armenia. So there's many, but there's two public, right? One in the north and one in the south.
Yes.
Yeah. So the one in the north is the best emergency.
Yes. Because puede encontrar todas las especialidades. There are many specialty medicines.
Yeah, well, right here you've got a big building for heart, and across the street you got a big building for cancer.
Okay.
You know, so
yes, it's different.
it's I've never seen in the U.S. you'll have the hospital, you'll have some doctor offices and things like that. You might have a clinic here or there, but here there's medicine on every street corner. There's so much medical. It's it's a bit shocking. You'll notice it when you get here. She seems so kind and knowledgeable. So glad it worked out for the both of you. Oh, that was very nice.
Glad it worked out.
That you could.
I understand. This is what?
Just a comment, comentario. Montizales weather is not the same as Armenia.
I told her it's better in Armenia.
My wife fell in love with
in
Montizales.
Armenia, always rainy
Yeah.
in the afternoon.
Montizales just rains whenever it wants. Armenia,
Only.
it rains mostly in the afternoon or in the night.
Yes.
You know, so you get up in the morning, you have a nice day, you have most of the day, and there's no rain.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you take your umbrella because sometimes. But in Montizales, when I lived there,
Mm-hmm.
it rained in the morning, in the afternoon, in the night, and the rains are very hard. Here, they're soft rains. It's you know, mostly easy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and here it rain. You know, when you talk about all this rain, because it rains every day, you don't need a lot of rain to have a high rainfall in inches. Because people say, well, you know, it's got this real high one. Yeah, but if it rains every day for 10 or 15 minutes, it doesn't seem like there's that much rain. And that's the way it is in Armenia. But in Montizales, it just rains whenever it wants to, and it wants to a lot.
Yes.
It's and it comes so fast. You go out and it's beautiful.
Yes.
And in 15 minutes, you have all this, the clouds, I mean, this dark sky just, whoosh, and it starts raining. And it's in 15 minutes without no warning, no notice. Greetings from Prince Edward Island, Canada. We're still waiting for our balloon.
Oh, thank you.
They're talking about the Chinese balloon, Globo, Chino Globo, in Estados Unidos
yes.
and Canada and
Sí.
Espia.
And Colombia too, in Valledupar.
Really?
Really?
Okay, I guess we have a balloon too.
Yes.
I'll have to look into that. I didn't know that. Okay, last call for any questions. I'm going to let her go. We got anything else?
And
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you. First, a bit of news. It said it was in the news. It says the rains and dry season could intensify respiratory infections in Quindío. And it says that there's currently 32 cases in the hospital, the public hospital, of respiratory problems. And I've told you guys, it's been extremely high, and I never used to see that. But have you noticed a higher amount
Yes.
of illness in Armenia versus 3, 4, 5 years ago?
yes, since December, I have seen an increase of the respiratory diseases. I explained to patient that Armenia and Quindío have particular conditions like the guaduales and the spores of coffee and humidity.
From La Nina.
Sí, yes, there are nutritional deficiencies like the deficiency of vitamin D. This caused by the confinement of the pandemic of COVID.
The confinement,
Of COVID.
which made COVID worse
Yes.
because you're confined, so
The
no vitamin D.
exposition- Yes, the exposition to sun is lower, and the chronic deficient low the immunitary system.
So vitamin D is much more important than people think.
Yes, yes, because the vitamin D is lower too in fibromyalgia, thyroid disease, and
Fibromyalgia, and
arthrosis,
thyroid,
arthrosis, arthritis,
arthritis. Yeah.
sí,
Wow. Well, so it wasn't my imagination. I mean, there's a real problem, and in her opinion, vitamin D is behind a good portion of it. It is logical. It does make sense that as there's more rain and people stay inside, as they were here, we were confined for months. We had quarantine for months. And so if you have less sun, then you're not getting the natural vitamin D. A lot of diet doesn't really focus around vitamin D, so you have to do it as a supplement. It kind of makes sense. And what's interesting is that all through COVID, you had these well-respected doctors trying to make that point, but they would get banned from Twitter and from YouTube for ever even hinting that might help. So yeah, you have a similar opinion here. We talked about this before, so I kind of already knew the answer on this one. So we have anything else? Oh, you have a
what is
question?
the best way to not have a heart attack? Bueno,
Live a clean life.
yes, control of weight, and walk 50 minutes per day, and evitar less food with saturated lipids. Chai, olive oil. Sí, with the salads. Control of arterial pressure.
So blood pressure.
Blood pressure.
Yeah, so if your blood pressure is high and it's chronically high as you get older, you should look into the medication for blood pressure.
Yes.
But you can also lower it naturally with your diet, right?
Yes. And nutrients.
What else we have? I would love to have her contact information. Yep, I'm going to put that together. I'm moving to Armenia in a few months. I will bring this up next week, and I'll put it up on the screen so you guys can write it down. You can go back and look at the video anytime, so I'll have it up there. I've got it in bits and pieces right now, so I'll put it together in something more useful. Where? Oh, I lost you. Oh, sorry. All right. She is right on. I was impressed. What impressed me the most about you is when you go see a doctor, they don't often listen. When I went here in the US, that was always a problem for me. I would go in and say, well, I'm this and this and this, and they just kind of ignore it. And even when I went here and I talked to that woman, she kind of told me, well, you're okay, we'll do tests later. I wasn't okay, and I got very sick very fast. But when you came, you listened to everything I said.
Yes.
And then we talked about each and every one of those items. It was not only comforting, but it actually, between what I was telling her about me and the knowledge that she had, we went right to the solution.
Okay.
And it's not that I think you know more than every doctor. I mean, I've probably had very good doctors, but because you combine what you know and actually listen to me, that, you know, we went to the heart of it, and that's what I appreciated. And I'm alive. People here cover up so they don't get sunned. Social and health conflict. Well, here, yes and no. A lot of people are worried about the sun. I think too much.
Okay.
And I think the concern about, you know, the cancer might be overblown, but they use sunscreen. You know,
Yes.
the sunscreen?
Yes.
That doesn't stop vitamin D, does it?
One moment.
And I'm also talking too fast.
There are more problems for deficiency of vitamin D that the lesiones in the skin is less.
So you need, if you want to stay healthy, you need extra vitamin D. Is really the moral of the story. That's the one major concern I have about moving there. I don't speak Spanish, and I worry about having health issues and not being able to communicate. There's people that you can take with you. I know people. In my case, I could barely get out of my chair when she showed up to answer the door. I mean, I let it go way too far. And when I went into the hospital, I know enough. Well, when she first came, it was all Spanish. So I know enough to get by. If I didn't, when I went to the hospital, when I could actually get out and move around, I would have taken somebody with me. There's enough people to be able to do that. And it won't cost you much. You can get somebody to go with you on a hospital visit, 20,000 pesos. Somebody will go with you that can translate.
See, there are more alterations due to vitamin D deficiencies
Then skin
than
cancer.
skin
Yeah.
cancer.
Yeah, that's true. So any risk of skin cancer pales to the issue with vitamin D deficiency.
The deficit of vitamin D can produce depression, and depression is more frequently in this moment.
Yeah, that's been in the news. There's a lot. The suicide rate here is higher than it's ever been, and I personally know something about that. I had a friend who killed herself. All of this ties together. All of it makes sense. In the U.S., you worry about being invoice receipt. You worry about being. I'm not sure. Not sure what you're saying. HD chillin'. Thank you. I appreciate it. In Armenia, orange, easy to buy, Sunny D. Do you think eating an orange is enough vitamin D?
What?
He says eat orange.
Orange?
Naranja.
Yes. Are easy to buy? Yes.
So he said you don't need supplement, just eat an orange.
1 and 2 per day.
Yeah.
But the sugar of orange is
It's a lot of sugar.
Yes.
Yeah, so do you want to have too much sugar? I've only become aware this year of the importance of vitamin D, and not just through her, but in some of the research that I've done. And some of it goes back when I was researching, the COVID and all of that. But it all kind of goes down that path. It seems like so many things lead to the vitamin D. Now, it's not the do all and end all, but there are connections to many things. Yeah, I know oranges have, they have vitamin C, but you also have D. Milk, for example, is vitamin D. So, but the question is it enough? Is it enough for you? And the only way to really be sure is probably take a supplement. Now, you can do vitamin D. You don't have to do this. If you want to do your vitamin D, back around the COVID time, I bought vitamin D in these little gel capsules.
Yes.
And it was a big bottle. It was a few dollars.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's very cheap.
When you sick, you often high doses of micronutrients needed. You need higher.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. And los que hablan español, los suelos de no son adecuados. No hay tantos nutrientes en la tierra.
In the ground.
In the ground.
What she was saying there is that if your normal dosage of vitamin D, for example, is 1,000 milligrams, but if you're sick or you're in a situation where you might get sick, then your dose should probably be more like, what, 3,000? It should be much more. And your normal diet is not going to give you that. So, you know, it's like, I've been doing vitamin D, well, now, much more.
Yes.
And I will from here on out. And again, not because of her, this was even before that. When you came, I had vitamin D. Excuse me. I don't know if you remember, but I was only taking minimum.
Yes.
So, you know, so now I'm looking at more at the 2,000 or 3,000 milligram mark, and those gel capsules were crazy cheap. When I bought them, I was really surprised because that same thing in the United States would have cost so much more, and here there was just, like I say, it was the equivalent of a couple dollars. Okay. We're good to go.
No,
so
thank you.
I want to thank you. I'm going to put you guys on pause for just a minute. Don't go away. I'll be right back.
Oh.
Here's your story, let's begin. The water's fine, come on, dive in. The future's here, it's right before your eyes. Step by step, you're on your way. You're welcome to a brighter day. Don't you know it feels good to be alive? You could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the hopes and dreams of every boy and every girl. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You could have all you ever wanted, shoot the moon and reach for Mars. You know you could.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. Come inside, come inside. All right, what do we got here? So I didn't want to have her sit through all the news stuff that I want to talk about. So I've decided that instead of doing that the way we normally do it, I'd have her go ahead and do her thing. I hope you could understand. I tried to clarify as much as possible. It wasn't intended to, talk over or whatever, but, I want you to understand what the point she's trying to make. Did you say you need to get high? Not me. Not me. Hold on a minute. She's not going anywhere. All right. So let's get to. I've got two news items, but one I'm going to talk about in some depth. So this is going to be probably about 15 minutes. First one. So far this year, so we're talking what, a month and a half. In all of Quindío, there's 2 road accidents that have been registered. Now, if you just have a fender bender, they don't register that. But if there's any injury, that's automatically going to be registered. And if it's of any consequence, property damage, like hit the side of a house or something like that, those things are going to be registered. But if you just bumper to bumper or something, people don't report that kind of stuff. But I thought it was interesting. This isn't just Armenia. This is in all of Quindío. There's only been 2 road accidents registered. So that's pretty awesome. And the reason I picked out this particular item is I get asked quite a bit about, how crazy the drivers are here. And I'm not going to argue that fact because I think they are a bit crazy. But they're pretty good at avoiding accidents. You rarely see accidents. I think I've seen maybe 3 or 4 car accidents. Now, motos, that's a whole nother thing. But we won't go there. All right, so I mentioned this earlier, and we're going to talk about this. This rumor that's on Facebook that the volcano is going to erupt and it's going to take out the entire department of Quindío. That we're on red alert, that it's imminent. First of all, we're not in red alert. We've been in yellow alert for 13 years. Some of the information, I don't want to get ahead of myself. So, first of all, volcano near Montizales, Nevado del Ruiz. It's in the same chain. They're connected as the one south that we're actually going to be talking about. But this one has been more active than normal of late. And this one erupted, 20 years ago? I'm drawing a blank, not that long ago. And took out a whole bunch of people, not Montizales, but in a town almost at the base of it. Don't live at the base of a volcano. So this has been more active. There's been more talk about it, and that's got people thinking, and they're looking at information, then they post it online, and it gets blown up out of proportion. So I want to give it a little proportionality today. I'm not here to say there's no volcano and that there isn't any kind of risk, but let's talk about what that risk is. All right, first let's look at a map here. You'll see up on the top, almost center, Nevado del Ruiz. Easy for you to say. You got Montizales just off to the left. The distance there in miles, maybe 15 miles or so. And then you got Preda, and then you move further down in the center, and you have the volcano that we're talking about, which is nothing right now more than it's a hilltop. And you can see the distance. You've got Ibague that's relatively close, and then you got Armenia that's actually a mountain range. It's on the other side of that mountain range that I think you can make that out. So where are we? Weird thing came up. And this is the mountain right there. There's no crater at the top or anything else. But this is a volcano that has gone off before. And the ground just kind of settled back down on it. So there is danger, however. So here in Armenia, worst case situation. this is on the Colombia's geological, it covers earthquakes and volcanoes and all of that. And threat zones due to falling pyroclasts. In other words, the little stones, the big ones fall nearby. They're heavier, they come out, they fall nearby. But the ones that go off for miles, those would be the danger. YouTube says we're not doing video again. Oh my God. Anyway, they do this to me every week, but I know that I can see the videos fine. So when a volcano shoots off, you have all these small ones that fly out. Of course, they're kind of superheated. They cool in the air, but you know, they're still pretty hot when they land. So it says the consequence of explosive eruptions, rock fragments of different sizes and types are blown through the atmosphere, which when they fall to the surface, they're called let me skip. The larger fragments transported, deposited near. The smaller ones transported by wind to distance area of the volcano. And so that's what we're talking about. So you get those kind of things that can reach into Armenia. And those things can actually cause fire. Some of them you wouldn't want to be hit by them. But the ash, volcanic ash, can be acidic. And if that lands in water supplies, it can contaminate it. And it takes a while to get that cleared up. You can have roof damage. You can have personal injury. So it can be pretty serious. And that is all of Quindío practically. But again, that's worst case situation. And we're quite a ways away. We got a mountain range in between. So take it with a grain of salt. You're not going to have some lava flow come washing down into Armenia. It's not a possibility. Lava flow is not going to go up over the mountains to come down. It actually goes off in a different direction. So I have a map of the what would be historically what happened and what their scientific projections would be if it happens again. So let me put the map up. Now you'll see the big red area on the right side, that's the lava flow. And you have a little bit to the left side. That's the dark red is the lava flow. But then off to the left, because of weather patterns, things like that, off to the left, you'll have a light red and a yellow area. And in the center of that red, or maybe a little off center, you've got some gray area. That gray area is Armenia. And so these falling rocks can fall as far as Armenia. This is a worst case projection. So we're not going to be buried in lava. It's not going to be like the movies where you're running, but you will have ash. You'll get some darkness. You'll have some of these, pebbles and things like that falling. You may have an occasional fire in a building. You can have some roof damage. You definitely want to, get inside if something like this happens. But there is absolutely nothing occurring that indicates it's any different than it was 10 years ago. So let me show you. I set up the English caption. They're not the best, but let me show you. It's a 2-minute news report here in Colombia about this situation. And so hopefully it's in Spanish, but hopefully if you don't know Spanish, the captions will help.
Para los seguidores de la Crónica del Quindío. En esta oportunidad nos encontramos visitando el volcán Cerro Machín. Esto debido a las alertas que recientemente se generaron y que causaron cierta inquietud. Decidimos venir hasta el volcán para preguntarle a los habitantes del sector cómo suele ser su día a día y sus experiencias con el volcán al lado. El volcán Cerro Machín está ubicado sobre la cordillera central de los Andes colombianos. En línea recta, podría decirse que está alrededor de 28 kilómetros de Calarcá y 30 kilómetros de Armenia. La última gran erupción del volcán Cerro Machín fue hace 3.600 años y la última erupción menor que se conoce fue hace alrededor de 870 años. Un volcán es un punto en la superficie terrestre donde se emite magma, es decir, rocas fundidas.
Nosotros hemos vivido toda la vida aquí y eso es normal. Eso tiembla y después eso es normal porque eso nosotros hemos vivido toda la vida casi acá. Eso no pasa nada. Sí, porque esos manes que subieron cosas a las redes, pues esos que inventaron eso, porque eso ni vienen por acá.
Pero por ejemplo, ahí llegó por el Face, dijeron que el machín estaba en alerta roja, que toca estar preparados, que alistar los de primero auxilio, linterna y víveres, bueno, muchas cosas. Pero yo creo que en una confusión de esas es muy difícil salir, porque mucha gente, el que puede salir sale y el que no, porque ¿cómo va a salir?
Sí, es que la gente se alarma y que se ponen a decir cosas que no son también, se ponen a hablar cosas que no son y todo eso, no. Como dijo un señor una vez, toca esperar a ver qué pasa. Pero sí uno le da vaina así como el temblor, porque es peligroso, porque sale a la tierra y eso sí es duro, ¿sí? Pero el Señor nos tiene aquí en esa tierra, pues de todas maneras, algún día nos tenemos que partir de cualquier manera, tenemos que el Señor llevarnos, entonces pues tener paciencia y pedirle a Dios, que es el único que nos puede ayudar, Él es el único que puede hacer las cosas, entonces pues sí, uno le da nervios, pero entonces uno se aferra a la mano de Dios y el Señor lo ayuda a uno.
So, you've got, what was it? I'm surprised Preda isn't on the list of the affected. Yeah, look at this map again. You see there's a narrow area where that comes through. And if you're looking at the mountain range itself, you'll see, well, it's still mountain. There's almost there's a lower gap in the mountains. So it's still mountains, but there's an area, it's almost like a valley, but it's not a valley because it's still mountains. But there's a lower area as compared to the mountains, north or south of it. And it's actually through that kind of generates that wind and projects it through. And so Preda is just not in that line of fire. We'll go back to this other map here. It's got mountain between if it was going to get anything, it would be the Nevada del Ruiz. If that one goes off, Preda will get, some of the same effects. But for this one, it can't reach there. There's nowhere for it to go except, what I showed you in that map. So, like the big one, the frequency between them are thousands of years. You can get some small pop-offs every once in a while, but the big one, like it said, was 3,600 years ago. Small one was 1100 AD or almost 1200 AD. So 800 and some years ago. Could it happen? It could, but there's no indication of it. There's been concern that began 13 years ago simply because they can hear some activity, but it's very slight activity. And it's been relatively stable, the same over those 13 years. Now, prior to those 13 years, they didn't have the same equipment. And so it's not necessarily that everything changed. It's that, they had more sensitive equipment and they put it in and it's like, we can hear something going on. So they put it on yellow alert. and it's been there ever since. Nevada del Ruiz volcano caused 1985 due to mudslides, 25,000 victims. But I understand this is another volcano. That's correct. Yep, that's correct. Would still be affected by ashfall depending on the wind direction. Preda, exactly. But again, it's protected from the stuff that goes in and wipes out, like the one. It wasn't just mudslides. It was mudslides, but they were molten hot mudslides. I mean, it was nasty, and it took out a lot of people. And you can actually visit that village, but it's a ghost town, and there's remnants of the village left. There's broken sidewalks, due to age. There's buildings that have fallen down. It was a sad event. That's a lot of people. But at the base of the one we're talking about, there actually is a small village, and it would be wiped off the map. I should have died several times already in my life. If I get taken out by a volcano, just write it off as cool. Way to check it out. It's funny. I feel that way sometimes. Miss the doc. She recommended Lauren to be committed. Pretty much. You can always go back and replay this. All right. So that's what I could dig up on the volcano. Is there some danger? Yes, sort of, but there's no more danger than there was last month. So all that, stuff that's been running around on Facebook, there's no basis for it. Right. Pretty much what I said. Okay. How are we?
I really like it.
Oh, we're right at the time. So, contributors, thank you, one and all. I really appreciate it. I will get together doctor information. I'll put it up on the screen next week. I'll put it in the Facebook site. You can email me, and I'll get back to you. I've been going through my emails lately because when I was sick, it got to the point where I was just blowing them off. And so there was a couple that were kind of important in there. So if you haven't heard from me I would say within a couple days, shoot me off another email. Normally I'm really good at it, but now I'm kind of, there were a lot of them, and I'm trying to catch up, and some get pushed off into spam folders. Normally I'll search those, but I got to whittle it down back to a manageable amount. So if you emailed me, didn't hear from me, shoot me off one, and I'll get right on top of it. Would like to hear you talk about renting in Colombia. It can be difficult for a gringo expat to get a place. Piece of cake. I believe I've talked about that, but I can do it again. Maybe update it. Talk about rents, because they have been going up. On the other hand, they're not going up as to the extent of what the dollar exchange rate has been. So that kind of offsets a lot of things, at least for now. But yeah, I'll see if I can put together something next week on that. All right, we're going to end it here. Thank you, Dr. Luz. I really appreciate it. And she has agreed to start doing house calls again, which I think is very nice of her, very kind of her, because I know she's already busy. I asked her if she could please, and she's agreed to do it. So, and she's working hard at practicing her English so that she can be more helpful. That's it. That's all I got. Take your vitamin D. I'll see you next week on Coffee Time. Ciao.